Afternoon, everyone. We've reached 2:30, so I'll call the meeting to order. Since this is the first City of Kawartha Lakes O.P.P Detachment Board meeting for 2026, the first item on the agenda is the appointment of chair. So I would like to call for nominations for the position of chair. Councillor Warren?
I nominate Deputy Mayor Richardson.
And is there a seconder for that nomination? Councillor Perry? Deputy Mayor Richardson, would you like to speak to the nomination?
I will accept the nomination, thank you.
And a second call for nominations for the position of chair. And a third call for nominations for the position of chair. Seeing none, by acclamation, Deputy Mayor Richardson will be appointed chair for the City of Kawartha Lakes O.P.P Detachment Board for the 2026 calendar year. Deputy Mayor Richardson, would you like to assume the role of chair?
I will, and thank you through you. Thanks. So we'll move into item 1.2. It's the appointment of the vice chair. Can I have a nomination for vice chair at this time? Councillor Perry.
I'll nominate Councillor Warren, please.
Do I have a seconder for that?
I'll agree.
Thank you, Member Johnson. Councillor Warren, do you accept?
I do, thank you.
Is there any other nominations at this time for vice chair? I do not see any, so Councillor Warren, you are appointed vice chair. So we'll move right into our agenda today. And 2.1 is the adoption of the agenda. I do have an amendment at this time, if I could put that on the floor. Add in 5.1, receive the Inspector General of Policing memorandum. Okay, so at that time with that amendment, can I have someone move the adoption of the agenda? Councillor Warren, Member Vale, all in favor? And that passes. Thank you very much. 2.2, is there any declaration of pecuniary interest at this time? I don't see any. So we'll move right into the adoption of the minutes from the previous meeting, which was on September 4th, 2005. That the minutes of the City of Kawartha Lakes O.P.P Detachment Board meeting of September 4th, 2025 be received and approved. Can I have a first and a second? Councillor Perry, Member Johnson, is there any discussion of the minutes at this time? I don't see any, so we will, all in favor? And that's approved, thank you. We do not have any deputations today. We'll move right into new business. Our first is the Detachment Commander Report. Over to you, Inspector Robert Bindell. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone, through the chair. Thank you for having me today. I would like to do a very quick and brief introduction. To my left is Acting Staff Sergeant Andrew Gordonier. Currently, Staff Sergeant Gravel, who is my operations manager, is away on assignment. He's currently in Aurelia. He'll be there until the end of March. So in lieu of him being away, we've brought Andrew in. So Andrew is a frontline supervisor at the Peterborough County Detachment with many years experience, and he is looking at developing himself in the role as a staff sergeant. So it's been great to have him here. You've been here since December. Just at the end of December, Andrew joined us, and that's been great to have him here. So you may see some correspondence from Andrew in the future. The Detachment Commander Report, I will preface, the Detachment Commander Report, and I know I've mentioned this in the past, we currently have a working group in the organization that is reviewing and is going to be hopefully drastically overhauling this Detachment Commander Report. For the detachment commanders across the province, it hasn't been fairly well received. I think there's a lot more fulsome information we could be providing in this report, and you'll notice in this report there are some missing gaps as part of the report. The challenge for us at year end is it typically can take typically up to 45 days for data lag all of our auditing processes to be done. So we are going to be providing a end-of-year report for 2025 at our next detachment board meeting. So today's report's just strictly on Q4 from 2025. So to get into the report, we have quite a few other items on the agenda, so we'll be fairly quick through the report. The first page, the motor vehicle collisions, this has been a fairly significant concern for us. Our fatal motor vehicle collisions this quarter and this year have significantly increased. This quarter, we've had 4 fatal motor vehicle collisions. One of those was an ATV, single ATV collision, lone operator back in October. Near the end of October, we had a 2-vehicle head-on collision on Portage Road. In December 13th, we had another 2-vehicle head-on collision where the driver of the one vehicle lost control and unfortunately crossed lanes into the oncoming traffic. And then December, we had our first snowmobile collision of the snowmobile season. It was a bit of an odd year because we got so much snow so early that the rail trail was open for a very brief moment of time. It did go back to yellow and it closed for a period of time, but unfortunately, while it was open, we had a snowmobile fatality on the rail trail up near Kinmouth, which is really unfortunate. And then I can preface into 2026. 2026 has not started off well. We've had 2 fatal motor vehicle collisions already in January of 2026. So as part of I will be speaking about our detachment action plan here in some new business. We have developed a local traffic plan for 2026 to hopefully help combat the rise of fatal motor vehicle collisions in our area. It's unfortunate that we've had this rise, especially considering when we look at the stats. You know, in the Q3, we've actually had a reduction in the number of collisions of almost 6%, 5.5%. And year over year, we've had, at the end of the year, we're looking at almost a 10% decrease in the number of motor vehicle collisions, but unfortunately our fatalities have increased. The second page I won't get into. This is just some of the some additional stats, unless there's any questions on some of the primary causal factors of fatal motor vehicle collisions. Third page, criminal code and provincial statute charges laid. I'm going to jump forward a little bit because I know that there are going to be questions on patrol hours. There's been a fairly significant decrease in the number of patrol hours in this quarter from what we normally see, and I'll explain why that is. In particular, under the Highway Traffic Act, we've seen a 60% reduction. That's significant. It is a blip. The challenges that we ran into in the third quarter, November into December, all of December, our staffing was literally decimated with the flu. We had so many people off with the flu, November into December. We had to backfill our platoons on overtime. There's no cost to the municipality for staffing for shift shortages, but we had quite a few officers coming into the area from outside of the area to assist us. What we will see when that happens, because they don't know the area very well, we will see that reduction in the patrol hours. So that fortunately has resolved itself. I myself have just gotten over a bad cold coming off of vacation, of course, and just rebounding myself. So we're going to see an increase, and we already have seen an increase already in January into February, and the number of patrol hours, the proactive enforcement efforts, et cetera. So when we get into the Q1 for 2026, we'll see that rebound. So that's an explanation why we, in October, we did see that reduction. Now, overall, from the criminal code perspective, no, sorry, I apologize, that's on the next page, but we have seen a slight increase in the criminal code non-traffic. A lot of that slight increase, and I'll explain during another presentation about our impaired efforts over this past year and how we're going to be moving forward. And you can see on the bottom of that third page, in 2025, 45 impaired related charges versus 29 of last year. It's a significant increase. I'll skip over e-ticket warnings. One of the expectations I tell to my members, I want to see the e-ticketing warnings decrease. Far too many e-ticket warnings. I would rather see that education through enforcement aspect. So that's why we've seen a reduction in the e-ticketing throughout the quarters as well. On a positive note, when we move away from the fatalities, our violent crime is down this quarter, which is great news. The assaults and firearm-related offenses are up, sitting at 49 versus 34, but our sexual offenses are down by almost half. Our offenses result in deprivation of freedom for those. That's typically intimate partner violence related. That's forcible confinement or husband or wife preventing their spouse from leaving a residence or a room or a bathroom. That's what that category covers. Down to the bottom, when we look at year to date in 2025, we had 3 robberies. We fantastic work in Little Britain done, locating the suspects and making those arrests. There was an attempt at the Kinmount Credit Union as well. And as well, there was a robbery at one of the local gas stations. So that's why we've seen that significant increase in the robberies year over year. Property crime, great work being done on the property crime front. In this quarter, we've seen a reduction in property crime of 40.5%. So that's fantastic news. And year to date to the end of the year, and again, these stats are slightly skewed because of the timing of when we ran the report, but it's showing a reduction of 17%, which is also great. Except for a minor rash of vehicle entries in January. And so was that January? It was in December. Twice in Bob Cajun. Moving to the drug crime, again, we're seeing a reduction. This quarter, we've seen a 55% decrease, with a decrease for 2025 of close to 27% decrease. Other criminal code as well has reduced. The driving offenses, the increase there in this quarter is related to the impaired related charges we'll speak to in short order. With the year end, we're looking at approximately a 31% decrease. The unfounded category, that is the 52% decrease in that, I think is more through an education effort on our part. Educating members of the public on what is and what isn't a crime. Sometimes individuals are reporting civil issues as a crime that comes into our office, and then we do our short investigation and send them back to the civil side. So it's good actually to see that reduction. There's far fewer unfounded calls for service coming in, because the unfortunate part with the unfounded calls for service is it does take up a considerable amount of our investigative efforts, which then takes us away from other investigations that we should be investigating. So it's good to see that reduction in the unfoundeds. Our clearance rates are doing well, moving in the right direction. In this quarter, you'll see a significant increase in our property related clearance rates. That was in an effort when I recognized in previous quarters that the clearance rates weren't where I would like to see them for property crime. I met with our community street crime unit, and we had a look at the data integrity side of things to make sure that our occurrences were being cleared properly. They were being updated after the fact. You can appreciate sometimes, more often than not, our property crime investigations can extend for an extended period of time. And it's ensuring we properly educate our junior members in the office that it's important to go back in and clean up the reports, et cetera. So that's why we've seen the increase in clearance rates at that point in time. Our public complaints are slightly up, sitting at 9 for conduct and then 2 for service, the service provided by the O.P.P. Those are still active. Most of them have been cleared. There's a few that are still active, but those are, because they're active investigations, I won't speak to those. I've already spoken about the daily activity reporting hours. There is most definitely a data integrity issue in this as well. What we're seeing, our organization, like many other organizations in 2025, we were in flux with our staffing. And I believe I mentioned this at a previous meeting. We have seen a lot of our senior members retiring. We've seen a lot of our senior members getting promoted, moving on for the O.P.P. A perfect example, if anybody knows Angie Kerr, she's a longstanding member in the City of Kawartha Lakes Detachment. She got promoted to the Staff Sergeant role in Peterborough. And additionally with that, because there are so many opportunities within the O.P.P, we're seeing a lot of our senior members applying for various specialty roles and leaving our detachment. What that does in 2025, our detachment, along with many other detachments, saw almost a drastic turnover into the age of our members coming into the office. So we have a lot of junior members in the office, most of which have 3 years or less on the service. The unfortunate part, when there's a significant turnover, is we're taking the experience out of the office. The experience on our traffic duties and investigative excellence. So you will see in the detachment action plan that I'll present shortly, there is a significant portion of training that I've built into the action plan to ensure that our members have the tools, resources, and knowledge in order to bring our investigative excellence and obviously our traffic safety back up on par to where we would like to see it. That, unfortunately, because of that turnover, we have seen that reduction in the number of traffic enforcement tickets that are being laid. I will be able to, unfortunately, positively report, I already know in Q1 for 2026, we've seen that rebound and it's already on the rise. So that's where you're going to see the patrol hours are down because of the, like I said, the flu that ravaged our detachment November into December. And then that's the other explanation for that reduction in the traffic tickets through 2025, and especially in Q4, because of the number of people that our office were just off sick and at home. Q4 for 2025, no charges, no youth charges, which is great to see. And we have through 2025 seen a reduction of the number of youth calls for services and charges, which is fantastic. We're sitting at approximately 26 for 2025, where the year previous we were sitting at 56. Mental Health Act occurrences, we do have Julie, I reported this earlier, in a previous meeting, Julie Kalka is now our permanent MCERT officer. She's doing an absolute fantastic job. We have 2 crisis nurses, one from CMHA and one from Ross Memorial, working with Julie throughout the week, and they're doing absolutely phenomenal work when it comes to our mental health calls for service. And because of that, we have seen our victim referrals increase. It's an interesting stat. You know, in this quarter we did 280 referrals, but only 125 of those referrals were accepted. And there's a whole host of reasons why referrals may not be accepted. But in the Q4, we have seen a increase to 125 from 89 in the previous year, which is also great news. We have a couple of additional updates I'd like to provide in the Detachment Commander Report. Number one is staffing. I've introduced Staff Sergeant Gord Neer to the Detachment Board, which is fantastic news. We ran a recent competition. We have just hired 2 new supervisors, 2 new sergeants in the office. Those were both promoted from within, so there were constables in our office. I just heard at the end of last week, Sergeant Roy Madden from the Haliburton Highlands Detachment is going to be joining us. He put a lateral transfer request in to come into Lindsay. He must have heard all the great, wonderful news about the City of Kawartha Lakes, so he'll be joining us in March, the middle of March, which is fantastic. We also have a brand new detective sergeant in our office. He's leading our crime unit. Haliburton Highlands and the City of Kawartha Lake, we have a combined crime unit. He supervises both units. His name is Brad Bothman, and he is out of Aurelia. He's a long-standing crime unit member in Aurelia who's been developing himself, and he's joined our team at the end in this quarter as well, which is fantastic news. And most recently, those that know the name Chris Henshaw. Chris Henshaw has been a very long-standing member, sergeant at our detachment. He's been a frontline supervisor for quite some time. We have just moved him into our operational support sergeant role. And what I can tell the board is he's doing an absolutely fantastic job. He's going to be in charge of our programs throughout the year, ATV, snowmobile, our marine programs, our focus patrols, directed patrols. His portfolio is quite significant, but he's hit the ground running, and he's already got quite a bit of traction underneath of him, so we're going to be seeing some significantly positive things moving forward this year. We also, in this quarter, we ran all detachments in Central Region ran warrant sweeps through our detachment areas. A significant amount of work and energy was put into that. Through a year, there's an ebb and flow to our number of warrants. We have first appearance warrants when we do an investigation, but we can't find the accused. We put a first appearance warrant out for an individual. We have warrants that are produced through the courts, through individuals that fail to attend, for example. So what we call the warrant drawer tends to expand and contract depending what's going on through the year. So in this last quarter, we did a warrant sweep where we were able to execute and arrest 35 wanted persons in our area. We did go further afield throughout the province to ensure that we brought them to justice and put them before through bail court. And over this time period, in conjunction with the warrant sweep, we also did offender management checks, and where we checked 27 compliance checks were completed with high-risk offenders that are in our area. So that was fantastic to get those warrants executed and bring those members to justice, and obviously, hopefully bringing some closure to our victims of crime in the area. The other thing that I'll leave this to Andrew, I just wanted to have him introduce Project Lifesaver, a program that we've been working on with Kawartha Lakes Police Service, the ambulance, as well as the Alzheimer's Society.
Good afternoon. Through the chair, excuse me. Project Lifesaver is a system run through the Alzheimer's organization. Essentially what it is, it targets cognitively impaired individuals, people with Alzheimer's, autisms, who frequently leave the homes and turn into missing people, and then with their abilities can't obviously find their way home and need assistance. And with missing people and with Alzheimer's and with cognitive abilities, time is of the essence with these people. So with this new program that's run through the organization, we're training multiple members, at least 2 per shift, to have at the detachment. What this does is through the Alzheimer's, we identify people with concerns if they've gone missing a couple times, or if they're if any impairments for hearing or whatever, and they can't cope at home with keeping them inside the residence, the Alzheimer's has a program called Lifesaver. So it's a radio frequency that's put into a bracelet that's monitored, and we have a device that now if they leave the home, we can find them. So it sends a radio frequency out. So if someone's called in missing, they call the police. These people are registered through our office, through our system. They have a tracking number that's just for them. That information is then passed to us. We take the device out, and it's kind of like an antenna thing that picks up radio frequency. So we start last known location, we search the area, and we get little radio frequencies from this thing. So missing people that have taken us hours to find in the past have reduced down to like 15 to 30 minutes because we can get this location and find them right away. So that reduces harm or even death at certain points depending on the time. So we're really pushing this program through our organization, partnering up with the Alzheimer's Committee to get this program going within the city of Kawartha Lakes. I think it's very beneficial with the people that we deal with. A simple child with autism or an elderly person with Alzheimer's can wander away in the very cold weather, and time is of the essence to find them. So with our emergency response sergeant and our trainers, we're training up multiple officers at the office. So when these calls do come in, and even with our mental health teams, when they do these home visits, they can suggest to be registered to these committees so we can identify these people, assist them, get them with the proper community organizations, and get them enrolled into the program so we're not searching for them for long periods of time, and they're put in this program to get these bracelets, and then we can find them in a quick manner.
And through the chair, you should see some messaging in fairly short order. I know Jake Danes from our office was working on the communication piece. Time really is of the essence when we're talking about vulnerable people within our society. I have, unfortunately, over the years, been involved in far too many searches for the elderly, those with dementia, and that are challenged. And typically, we think about this time of year when it's quite cold, vulnerable people being out and about, but it's even applicable in the summertime. Many of these individuals that are in our communities that wind up wandering away from the home, even in the middle of the summertime, get hypothermia and have a significantly increased risk of passing away. And this system is going to drastically increase our capability of locating these individuals effectively in a timely manner. So we're really looking forward to that. We have a trainer in our office that has been trained. She's a train the trainer, so she'll be training members in our detachment, and then she'll be assisting Kawartha Lakes Police Service to get their members trained up as well. We have a system that was provided to us from the local paramedics. We have one in our office, and there will be one located in the Kawartha Lakes Police Services as well.
Thank you very much. Also, I just need to do a reminder that today's meeting is streamed on the city's YouTube channel. Can I get a first and second to receive the detachment commander report, and then I'll open up the floor for questions? Councillor Perry, Councillor Warren. So let's move into any questions at this time. Councillor Perry.
Thank you very much, Chair. And as mentioned, when the meeting was being scheduled, I do have a commitment at 3 p.m. So thank you for the report. Good to hear, and welcome to the task force, to the committee. Before my question, I'd just like to put on the public record a thank you to our local Kawartha O.P.P. We're really engaged with PC Danes on the Coffee with the Cop. Your name for the title, not mine, that we've been hosting in Ward 3. They've been remarkably successful so far. We've had 2, and there are 2 more being scheduled. Residents have had nothing but good things to say. Police Constable Danes has been exceptional in that role, and I just wanted to make sure I sent out another public thank you and say how much we value that engagement, and so do the good people of Ward 3. So thanks for that.
Yep. Through the chair, thank you very much. Constable Danes has done some fantastic work. I know that he's going to be lining up some additional meetings throughout the municipality. I also plan as well to be able to attend some of these meetings as well, so you will see me out and about. Unfortunately, the dates that were selected for the initial kickoff for the Coffee with the Cop was a conflict for me, but I'm looking forward to continuing that on in the communities.
Fantastic. And I also want to acknowledge and lift up our continuing great relationship, especially on directed patrols, always being willing to listen, to take an email, to reply promptly. It's very impressive and, again, very valuable. I do believe goes a long way in our community. So thank you again. Due to my commitment, I'm just wondering, Chair, in terms of the draft detachment action plan, will that be coming back to us? I do have a few suggestions. Okay, great. On that note, I won't take any more of the committee's time, but thanks again for all you do.
Thank you very much, Councillor Perry, for your comments. Councillor Warren, you had a question?
I do, through you. Just the report of firearms increasing, and I've got a question about the buyback. I don't know if that you'll allow that question about buyback, and do you have any ideas besides buyback that would help lower the amount of firearms on the street?
Yeah, through the chair, thank you for the question. The report, the detachment board report, and I've mentioned this in a previous meeting. Unfortunately, for some reason, the assault/firearms related offenses have been grouped together. Generally, firearms-related offenses in our communities is fairly low. We do want to see that pulled out, firearms-related offenses and assaults pulled out, so we can get a more fulsome look at that, a report to the board. As we're all aware, the O.P.P has withdrawn from the buyback program. We are not participating through that, and that is being looked through any of the municipal police services that choose to participate, and also including the RCMP. And what we're seeing is that the vast majority of our firearms-related offenses are those individuals coming into the communities from elsewhere. Part of in the Detachment Action Plan, we are going to be increasing our investigative prowess by our young officers on being able to, we call it looking beyond the plate during our traffic stops, to try to target the illicit drug activity coming into our communities, so the illicit firearms, contraband, and human trafficking as well. I can certainly provide a bit more fulsome explanation versus here at the board report, and on what we can do to effectively reduce firearms and gun crime. That is encapsulated partially within the Detachment Action Plan as well. Yeah. We'll respond to. That's fair.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions at this time? Okay, we've had a first and seconder. Can we receive the report? All in favor? That passes. Thank you. We'll move right into 4.2, which is the draft 2020-26 to 2029 draft action plan, City of Kawartha Lakes O.P.P detachment report.
Yeah, and thank you through the chair. Did Councillor Perry leave his questions?
No, but I'm going to ask him to send them through because he said he had some recommendations. So we'll make sure that you get those in writing.
Fantastic. Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to present the 2026-2029 City of Kawartha Lakes O.P.P Detachment Action Plan. This plan represents the next stage in our commitment to delivering adequate, effective, and community-focused policing in accordance with the Community Safety and Policing Act 2019. It also aligns directly with the Ontario Provincial Police's 2026 to 2029 strategic plan, which will be released a little later this year, ensuring that our local priorities contribute to broader provincial goals. This action plan was shaped through consultation with our detachment board members, through council, community partners, who engaged with us through the city's jump-in platform. And I think the chair will agree we had a tremendous response in our jump-in platform. And across the province, I know the chair is aware of this, our municipal policing board saw the jump-in survey that was created here and used that as a kind of a bright shining gold standard on what other detachments were expected to do. So I had to share our survey across the province to assist detachment commanders through their consultation phase as well. So their feedback, everyone's feedback was consistent and clear. Our communities want strong, visible policing, targeted action against drug and property crime, safer roads, waterways, and trails, and compassionate coordinated responses to mental health, addictions, and other social challenges. The plan before you reflects those priorities and outlines the commitments, actions, and measurable outcomes we will pursue over the next 4 years. The plan is structured around 3 central pillars. The first is crime. We will take a proactive, intelligence-led approach to reducing crime and enhancing safety. This includes strengthening specialized investigative skills within the detachment, increasing visibility in identified hotspots, and focusing on key areas such as drug trafficking, property crime, intimate partner violence, human trafficking, and cybercrime. A strong emphasis is placed on prevention, offender management, and public education to reduce victimization and increase community confidence. Our second pillar is roadways, waterways, and trails. Traffic and recreational safety remain a top priority in our municipality with significant tourism, seasonal population increases, and an expansive geography. Our strategy includes expanding member expertise in traffic enforcement, increasing high visibility patrols, maintaining strong marine, ATV, and snowmobile patrol presence, and leveraging data and technology to reduce collisions. Partnerships with community groups, trails and associations, and the Trent Severn Waterway will support education, compliance, and ongoing problem solving. And our third and last pillar is community well-being. Recognizing that policing and well-being are deeply connected, this plan strengthens our collaborative efforts with health, social service, and community organizations. We will continue to enhance youth engagement, support mobile crisis response initiatives, improve pathways to mental health and addiction services, and prioritize equity, inclusion, and cultural awareness in all community interactions. Our goal is to ensure that individuals in crisis receive the right support at the right time, reducing harm and building trust across all populations we serve. This action plan represents a balanced, data-driven, and community-informed roadmap for the next 4 years. It is designed not only to address current challenges, but to build a stronger foundation for long-term community safety and well-being in the city of Kawartha Lakes. And I look forward to discussing these priorities with you and any questions that you may have with the Detachment Action Plan. Now, with the change of the Community Safety and Policing Act from the previous plan, our detachment action plans used to run on a 3-year cycle, and that's now increased to a 4-year cycle. The detachment action plan, fortunately for us here in the city of Kawartha Lakes, does line up with the Community Wellbeing and Safety Plan as well, and we're hoping to take a collaborative approach to supporting the city of Kawartha Lakes moving forward with their planning process as well. There is a slight Easter egg in the detachment action plan, something that's missing. I don't know if maybe Councillor Perry may have picked it up. One of the items that is missing, and I only found it this morning, I think it was looking through the forest, through the trees far too much, on the roadway safety and waterways, snowmobile patrols are missing in the plan. So that will be duly added into the plan to make sure that's covered off. Are there any questions about the detachment action plan? Any comments, suggestions, or concerns?
Through you, I just want to say I really like the plan, and I really like the prevention part of it. Looking at prevent and respond to violent offenses with a focus on intimate partner violence and high-risk individuals, and it seems the prevention really makes sense going through this, and it's quite fulsome. So just a question, do you think you'd be enhancing waterway patrols at all?
Through the chair, absolutely. We have, unfortunately, as I mentioned, the challenge with staffing and the turnover. One of the things that we unfortunately do lose when members retire, transfer, get promoted are those specialty training that our members take with them. The Marine program is a highly sought after training for our members. Most of the young officers in our detachment want to have the training. And just as of today, we were submitting our names for Marine training for this year. So the benefit of having Sergeant Henschel in his position, in the operational support position, he is a Marine trained member. He and I have already sat down to discuss our game plan this season. As we transition, we're going to be transitioning from snowmobile season back into some ATV seasons and then through the Marine season as well. And he's going to be developing some robust planning, scheduling, for all of our recreational activities, including Marine, and also getting ahead of the curve. Our region has what we call a SAVE team. They're dedicated members out of Central Region that do ATV, snowmobile, and Marine. They too are fairly highly sought after to come into our communities, and they've done a fantastic job over the years. The trick is to book them early. So that'll be, we're just currently working through the snowmobile. Short order, we'll be looking after ATV and snowmobiling and enhancing our patrols through the area. One of the things that we're also going to be looking at for our young officers, we have unique opportunity at our local locks to engage with the boating public as well. So we're going to have them engage on foot both from an enforcement perspective as they come through the locks. You only have to talk to a lock master to find out what happens coming through the locks and what they see. We're aware of that too, and that's one of the commitments we're going to do. Although our officers may not be on the water, they will be engaging with the boating public as they come through the locks. And that's something that the Trent Severn Waterway has always, through all, Peterborough County is a prime example. They support us being there, supporting their lock masters, the young people that work at the locks, because unfortunately they take a tremendous amount of abuse at some of these locks. So that's some of our key strategies that we're going to be doing this year. We are the city of Kawartha Lakes.
We are 250 lakes and rivers.
It is. One of our challenges too, and I'll be quite frank and fair about this, is getting our members on the training. The training is done up at Gravenhurst. I think we will see in the coming years, I don't know if you have heard, but our Provincial Policing Academy, there's been a commitment from the government. Across from our general headquarters, we're going to be building a whole brand new provincial academy.
I'm sorry.
A whole brand new provincial academy.
Oh, wow.
A state-of-the-art facility for our members, and the nice part about that is it's on the water, and we're hoping that all of our marine training program will come from Gravenhurst down directly onto our own property, and then we'll hopefully see an increase in the training opportunities as well. That training occurs in the spring. It's coming up in May. They typically run 2 sessions, but that's 2 sessions for the entire province. So that's one of our challenges, is that when we do lose a member that has some of the key training, whether it's through retirement or transfers, et cetera, it takes us a while to get that training back into place. But we do have the commitment through Central Region Command, through the City of Kawartha Lakes, to increase our training, or our trained officers.
Thank you. Is there any other questions at this time? Member Johnson.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to review. Just like Councillor Warren said, it's very comprehensive. I can respond to Chair Richardson's email just with a couple of suggestions just around expanding on acronyms, because myself, I'm not familiar with everything. So just thinking about the general community reading it, and just a couple of perhaps spelling mistakes. But just a general comment to just around that the outcomes. Is there specific metrics you want to assign to each of the outcomes? Because it is left quite broad in that we will increase number of patrols, we will decrease whatever number of break and enters. Is there a specific number or percent that you're looking for each of the outcomes to determine whether the actions were actually effective?
Yeah, thank you for the comments. Fortunately, I'm not an English major, and we have a whole crew at the general headquarters. They do a final review, so if there are any last-minute spelling mistakes, we'll certainly cover that off. The metrics, so one of the things that we're required to do every single year, we create a annual report. So every single year, at the end of the year into the beginning of the next year, we will provide a report on the efforts that we were able to achieve, ongoing strategies that we're engaged in. One of the things, when I had a conversation with the chair early on when we first started talking about the detachment action plan, is I wanted to make sure, although the plan is left broad, that's done for a reason, to allow some flexibility in modifying the plan. It is a 4-year plan. So one of the things I want to make sure that the board recognizes, although it is a 4-year plan, it is hard-coded into paper, it is a flexible plan. I have the ability, and all the detachment commanders across the province have the ability to adapt and the plan to ongoing and new challenges. We don't know what's going to come in 2 or 3 years from now. We have a good idea what's coming, but again, COVID hit us, for example, and we had to adapt. One of the things when I had a chat through the chair was the metrics. I want to be able to provide increased metrics than we have in past years. You will, if you compare our plan this year from previous plans in the City of Kawartha Lake, and I've been involved in developing the plans, you will find that this is a fairly significantly expanded plan. And that is through the 3 pillars, our actions that we're going to be taking has been significantly increased. And the measurable outcomes as well, where we're coming into the metrics, we generally have to be adaptive and flexible in our strategies. I know that if you're looking for metrics that we're going to do 100,000 traffic stops this year, quite often can be challenging for us to set into stone depending on the ebb and flow of staffing, health and wellness, et cetera, et cetera. I know that probably doesn't answer your question specifically, but we do, through the detachment board report, when we do look at the metrics, we'll be reporting through that as well. Overall, I want to see a decrease in crime. I want to see an increase in our proactive enforcements. Over past years, we have this service delivery model, which I've spoken to in the past, is going to be implemented from now until 2029, which is going to see an increase in our staffing. Our metrics should, the expectations through the staff sergeant, we are going to see a significant increase in our patrols, proactive enforcement, community engagement. But sometimes, unfortunately, to put an actual hard code number on it becomes very challenging for us. Is that fair? Is that?
Yes, absolutely. I absolutely get it. I understand the flexibility in coming from a place where I am also responsible for coming up for action plans and setting metrics and et cetera. I just thought it would be an interesting question to ask because, is it an increase of 1 to determine if something's been effective, or is it an increase of, 10% if it's effective? How do you determine that? But I completely understand what you're saying as well.
Yeah, through the chair, and thanks for those comments. I am certainly open to having those offline conversations with the board and the councillors and through the chair as well. If any of the boards, depending on what the topic of the issue is, if there's certain metrics that you would like to have implemented to see as a target for us to reach, I'm more than happy to engage with those conversations. The challenging part, if you've developed these plans as well, in the detachment board reports and the reporting that I have to do quarterly up to the commissioner, stats. And whether or not an increase is statistically significant or not. An increase from 1 to 2 on paper, that's a 100% increase. But then generally speaking, depending on the topic, now an increase from 1 homicide to 2 homicides, that's a significant increase. But collisions, potentially the numbers, unfortunately, the numbers game that we play. So when I look at the stats and the metrics, I am very, very cognizant of the statistical significance of those increases or decreases. And hopefully the board recognizes that too when we show the board reports. Unfortunately, this is something that we have to get into when we report back through our Commissioners Command team as well. But I would like to see a significant increase in those areas, like I said, proactive enforcement, et cetera. I find 1 is not a number. We're talking multiple digits and multiple factors in the increase that we're going to see in these various areas. I know I'm kind of coming around the bush, but that's the best I can explain.
Thank you so much. That's super helpful.
Thank you. Is there any other questions at the time? Councillor Warren?
Through you. Can our detachment reports monthly, can they be different than what the province edict is? So looking at intimate partner violence, like that was always lumped together with other violent crimes. So can that be on its own, or?
So through the chair, cryptic answer, but the answer is both yes and no. So the direction that we have been given, all the detachment commanders, is that we are to stick to the detachment report. The detachment report, though, the feedback is that the detachment report is in many ways insufficient to properly capture what's happening in our communities. For example, does the detachment board specifically care about the number of e-ticket warnings we provided? Or would you be more interested in our intimate partner violence statistics, for example? So what we've been asked to stick to the detachment board report. So what's happened in the past, and I've had the opportunity to sit in as a detachment commander in a number of detachments, including the city of in Aurelia as the detachment commander there. What was happening across the province is the detachment board reports varied wildly. In Aurelia, for example, their detachment board report was significant. But they also had a statistician on staff that was able to produce a lot of that, the board report. We don't have that luxury here in the city of Kawartha Lakes unless the board and the municipality wants to do a contract enhancement. However, those are some of the challenges we have. Now, that being said, so the answer is no, we have to stick to the report. The report is being modernized and changed. However, if you would like, and we can have that conversation through the chair, if there's some additional things that you would like to see over and above, I can certainly provide some of that information as well, more on a consistent basis.
And that's great, you know, and this is part of your plan, so it would be nice if that could happen, because it was always lumped together with other crimes. Thank you.
I don't disagree, and you'll see in the detachment, in the action plan as well, what I would like to do is to increase that information sharing with our communities. One of the things we're going to be doing is looking at increasing sending the information, crime stats, et cetera, through our through Constable Danes, through our media officer as well. Some of that can come out through our Coffee with the Cops community engagement. Some of that's going to come through social media as well. So we're trying to increase the community's knowledge of what's happening in their community as well. It's almost like it's a very guarded secret. We only talk about it at the detachment board meetings, but that's one of the things that we're going to look at. But I'm happy to have a conversation through the chair on if there's any additional things that we can provide that information on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for the report. And as you said, you really took in the information that you received from the community when you designed this. You're keeping it very fluid, obviously welling it up to the community well-being plan as well. So it's got a lot of structure to it. Can I get a first and a second at this time to receive the draft 2026-2029 draft action plan, City of Kawartha Lakes O.P.P. Detachment? Councillor Warren, Member Johnson, and all those in favor? And so moved. Thank you very much. We'll move into 4.3. It is correspondence regarding combating and preventing hate-motivated crimes through dedicated enforcement investments. This was a letter that was circulated by the Honourable Michael S. Kersner, Solicitor General, which was focusing on different grant opportunities that were available. The letter came out December 11th. One being Hate Crimes and Extremism Investigation Team Grant Program, the other being the Safer and Vital Communities Grant, and the other Community Safety and Policing Grant. So it's a correspondence that we received, so I just need a first and second. Singer, okay, Councillor Warren, Member Vale, all in favor? And that passes, thank you. Is there any comments you wanted to make at this time?
There were, through the chair, thank you for the opportunity. I had an opportunity to read through the letter from the Honourable Michael Kersner. What I would like to propose, and here shows some of the flexibility and adaptability of the detachment action plan. I am wondering if, our organization, we have a new grant support team at General Headquarters. And that's been a team that's been designed to assist both detachments, bureaus, units, and municipalities in applying for grants. What I am wondering, and I'll put this to the detachment board, and we can certainly have offline conversations as well, is I'm wondering if we have the opportunity to generate a grant support team between my detachment and the municipality, and being able to, in a timely manner, look at these grants, assist both each other, the municipality with writing the grants, through, and we can, from my detachment, certainly have the staff sergeant involved and maybe a sergeant involved as well, if there is a grant unit here at the municipality that can work together in order to meeting some of the deadlines. So for example, in this here, the two grants, the Safer and Vital Communities grant and the Community Safety Policing grant, both of those have closed. So that grant cycle is closed. I've learned last week, I don't get access. Generally what I do for the grants, what happens with the grants is I will get notification through our grant support team. However, there are quite a number of grants that I don't receive notification on. I have now added myself to a mailing list so that I get notification of all the grants that come through the organization, so that I can identify and pick any of those grants that may be of a benefit to the local municipality. But what I would like to do potentially is streamline that through a community partnership with the detachment and municipality to review and potentially apply for that.
Thank you. Maybe defer that over to the CAO for comment. I know that we have in the past worked with you regarding, I think just recently, the Festive Bride grant promotion, right? That we did work with the city and yourselves getting. Maybe over to you, CAO.
Sure, to the chair, maybe just for general, in terms of our structure, I mean, we do have internal resources for pursuing grants. They're mainly focused, or the expertise is on municipal grants directly, and in most cases, they're capital focused, so that tends to be where the money is available. We do, though, have a separate stream for what I just deem operating grants. This would, I believe, fall under that category. And it's really just, we have the resources to be able to make submissions, and there's a formality with the province actually for all of their grants across the board, and we're members of that. We would have to work sort of in tandem with the respective detachment board or the local police service board with KLPS if it was something that we were sponsoring and then submitting. So it's certainly there and in place. We wouldn't have access to the O.P.P specific operating grants. So good to hear that you're signed on and you're able to then expose those. We track other sort of general grants provincially because we have access and membership to those. So we certainly would be interested in getting those updates, I think, probably through Detachment Commander. And where it makes sense, I think, collectively to pursue something, we would just then bring the resources together that we need collectively to make it happen.
Yeah, I think that's a good update. And as you said, moving forward, we just communicate with each other and see how we can, as you said, in tandem, make these things happen. And if, it might be something that we may be able to expose as well. So, no, that was a great point. I don't think I need any action on that, do I? No. Okay, great, thank you. And we did receive 4.3, so moving into 4.4, just the update with the Festive Ride update. Over to you, Detachment Commander.
Thank you, and through the chair. So in August, I think it was late August, I had the opportunity to write our first ride grant proposal request through the municipality to finally get access to some ride funding through the province. So for history, prior to the CSPA, we fell under the Police Services Act. Because there was no contract with the province, we had a Community Policing Advisory Committee, a CPAC. Because of that, there were limitations on what we could do, what we could apply for under the CPAC. One of those things was writing to grants for access to ride funding through the province. For example, my time in Peterborough, that they had police services boards. At the time, they had upwards of maximum 8 police services boards. Every year, they got access to ride grant funding. So I'm happy to report that because we are now under the CSPA, that has now changed. Everybody has gone to detachment boards. So I wrote an application for ride grant funding for this year, including all the way up to, it's a 4-year grant leading up to 2029, which is actually nice and clean because it aligns with our detachment action plan. It lines up with that. So we have been allocated over the next 4 years funding to the tune of $13,132. The maximum any detachment could receive or municipality could receive for the ride grant funding was $16,000. So we actually did fairly well. We've already got our ride. So the ride grant funding, how we execute this is we set up ride pay duties throughout the year. So I've strategically set ride pay duties throughout the year. They are in alignment with our holiday seasons, our long weekends, when we see that large influx of people coming into our communities, et cetera, with a more emphasis, obviously, to the festive ride season at the end of the year as well. So we were able to put out festive ride pay duties this past year, which saw an increase in our enforcement out on our area roadways. So that is fantastic news for us and for the municipality that we have access to that funding. And then again, in more towards the end of 2029, there will be another call for an application, and the detachment commander, myself, or if others, I may be retired by then, but will then make that application. I can report for the festive ride season, it's great results through the festive ride season. So this quarter, I had a look at this quarter, we had a total of 35 impaired occurrences, which is a challenge, that impaireds continue to be a problem in our area, roadways, waterways, and trails. I have some statistical information I would like to share on kind of our efforts. So this past quarter, the impaired driving, our initial reason for interaction, the principal reason for interaction was actually through collisions. We had 12 occurrences in which one of the drivers was identified as being impaired. 10 of them came through driving complaints, and then it reduces down through there, including ride through that quarter as well. As a result of that, impaired operators received driver's license suspensions. 20 of those were as of a 90-day suspension. 5 of those were through the ASD, that's the device that we blow into, as well. We had 4 90-day DRE, that's a drug recognition expert. We have 2 drug recognition experts in our detachments, fairly extensive training. We have to send, training is done here locally, and then we also send them down to the United States, down to Florida, and I believe the other is Arizona, for the training in order to be properly trained on that. We've had 4 suspensions related through that. Interestingly enough, the type of driver, the class of license that we see with our impairs, 29 of them, of the 35, are Class G and Class M. So Class G is your regular. Most people have Class G, and then M is your motorcycle license. Unfortunately, 3 of our impairs were novice drivers, which is going to significantly impact those novice drivers for the rest of their lives, unfortunately. 2 of them were unlicensed and 1 was unspecified. So one of the nice things about having Kawartha Lakes Police Service and the O.P.P. in the same jurisdiction is that we work cooperatively with our impaired program. If for some reason there is not a breath operator on Kawartha Lake Police Service, they will come to our office, and we're happy to perform that service, and conversely back and forth. Now this quarter, all of our impaireds were done through our detachment. We didn't assist Kawartha Lakes Police Service at that time. Interesting enough, so the readings, quite a few people are interested to know what the readings are. The bulk of our readings have ranged between 120 and 159. So we're looking at twice the legal limit. Some go upwards from there. 6 of our impaireds, we had readings between 160 and 199. And then we had 2 that blew over 200. Those are significant numbers. So I was a breath operator myself back in the day on the old Borkenstein breathalyzer. And part of the training, it's changed slightly now, but part of the training is that we were used as drinking subjects. So the Center of Forensic Science puts on the training, and they gave those that were drinking X number of drinks. And I remember I had 7 Ryan Coke in an hour. I never in my life have drank 7 Ryan Cokes in an hour. And I blew 70. It was shocking. It was absolutely shocking. So when we see these numbers at twice the legal limit, that is a significant volume of alcohol that these individuals have consumed. And the unfortunate part is, in this quarter alone, we've had 35 impaired occurrences on our area waterway. So it is an issue that we are facing. Our members now have access to what's called mandatory alcohol screening. So we continue to use our approved screening device. It's the ASD. It's the box that everybody blows into. We now have legislative authority that allows our police officers to demand a roadside breath sample from any lawfully stopped driver. In the past, in order to to have an individual blow into the device, we used to have required to have reasonable suspicion that alcohol was in the body. We're no longer required to have that anymore. If we stop an individual for speeding, we can immediately also demand that they give us a breath sample, which is a fantastic tool for us to use. But there are some limitations. The device has to be readily accessible to the member. We can't say, call a friend and say, can you bring a device with us, et cetera, et cetera. So it's called MASS. If you hear that term MASS in the news, that's what that is. So for the festive ride season, I do have some information on festive ride. We did actually quite well with our festive ride this year. It's a challenge. We did quite well. We had 138 ride events set up through our festive ride over the Christmas season. We conducted approximately 180 hours of festive ride. We identified 15 impaired drivers, in which we laid 24 impaired related charges. And that's only over the festive ride season, which is fantastic on the part, the enforcement engagement piece from our members, but it's also extremely disappointing that we have that volume of impaired driving in our communities. That's the festive ride update. We are conducting ride all throughout the year. Some of the expectations on our members is to conduct ride every single shift to ensure that we're addressing the concern. And impaired operation doesn't just occur on weekends and holidays. It happens all throughout the day. It's surprising when you will be, for those of us that are a little longer in the tooth, it's not as surprising, but we will engage with impaired drivers generally at any time during the day, which is really unfortunate. And that is a component of our detachment action plan, is to ensure that we're addressing that as well. So some positive news, in the essence, we now have access to funding where we can do directed enforcement with RIDE over the next 4 years, and that will be cyclical moving forward. But that's something that we can certainly, IPV and RIDE stats, we can certainly provide an expanded view of that moving forward as well.
Well, thank you very much for that. I think it's almost sobering, isn't it, just to have those facts so out there, and it's important to see how well this RIDE program has actually worked for us locally. Now, this is just a flippant comment, but I'm just going to make this comment. Are we seeing this trend across Ontario since we've changed our regulations about accessibility to alcohol?
I don't think it would be fair for me to comment. I haven't seen any specific studies that would say that, but I can certainly, I'll endeavor to try to find more information to provide to the detachment board.
And that's fair. Like I said, it was just a general, you hear that out there. I did attend the one meeting in Fenland with Coffee with the Cop, and it was, one of the comments was regarding seeing the festive drives, how people were seeing them again. And I think even your communications department was really pushing out the festive rides this year. So I think that type of awareness goes a long way in your community as well. Is there any questions regarding this report? Councillor Warren?
Just through you, because of the increasing numbers, you said that the detachment was going to do other rides, other ride programs besides the festive time of year. How many would they be? How many would you do? And does that grant just augment what you're doing already, or is that specifically for a ride program?
So through the chair, so the ride grant money, $13,000, what we have, I have a paid duty coordinator in the office, and we have set up paid duties to have 3 officers engaged in a ride grant paid duty at a time. We still have to be cognizant of officer safety. We have to conduct our ride spot checks in a certain way, legislative way as well, in a manner to do that. So you're generally going to see those occurring every single long weekend. They won't be just happening on our local roadways. So we are going to be strategically aligning those to doing them on our ATV trails as well as our snowmobile trails as well, because we are aware of the volume of drinking that occurs during those recreational activities. So I want to make sure that the public is aware that this isn't just strictly going to be on our roadways. So it really is an issue of math. It's because we pay our pay duty officers to come out and do that, and that would be subtracted off of the 13,000. 13,000, unfortunately, it's a lot of money, but it isn't a lot of money. So you're basically going to be seeing those strategically placed out generally around our long weekends, and then some more ride grant or ride pay duties in the festive ride season as well. So fortunately for us as well, we're very grateful for having access to the enhanced visibility patrol funding through the municipality as well, where we will also enhance our ride and visibility patrols through that as well. I can't be too informative on when and where we're going to be setting up our ride pay duties, but we're going to be spreading them out in that manner.
Through you, and that's great. I think the more people see the O.P.P out there doing ride, it's going to deter people from drinking too much, I think. So is that an increase from, I guess, 2025 going forward with this grant?
Sorry, is that an increase in number of patrols? Or
Yes, the ride program, yeah.
Well, certainly those will be dedicated patrols that, and to enhance what we're already doing. We have an expectation that our officers are going to be conducting ride every single shift. We know that that's theoretically not going to happen because, one member may be tied up in a rash of break-and-enters that's going to take an entire shift. But we have set the expectation that our members and our platoons are going to be conducting ride every single year. So I want to be clear. Generally speaking, we talk about festive ride. Festive ride happens over the holiday season, Christmas and New Year's. Our ride programs through the funding, the ride programs happening on platoons, that's going to be occurring throughout the year. So I don't want to think the festive ride pay duties are going to be happening only at a specific time of year. You should expect to see an increased presence in our ride programs all year like that. Just for clarification.
Through the chair, the difference between the festive and our officers are expected to do ride programs daily. So every day shift, every night shift, and that's just a standard that we've set out just for public safety, so they're out and about. The difference is with the ride programs and the festive rides is that it's a designated unit. So we have officers coming in, and that's their sole responsibility. Yeah. So with officers on the roads, they could be doing a ride and then be called for emergency call or other calls for services. So that's the main difference, is that these rides that were funded, that's their sole purpose, and that's all they're not responding for calls for service. They're just doing that, and then but it's a standard that every shift, day and night, that the officers are out there setting up ride programs and doing the same checks as the festive rides.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions at this time? I don't see any. Can I have a first and seconder for receiving the festive ride report? Committee Member Vale, Committee Member Johnson, all in favor? That passes. Thank you very much. And 4.5, Safe Streets Program Update.
Through the chair, I'll touch base on that. This is an update from the coordinator there in response to ongoing traffic and speed concerns within the community. We're leading a coordinated and developed prevention-focused program partnership and working collaboratively with the City of Kawartha Lakes Traffic Management Department and other stakeholders. So this initiative is being designed and mirroring a program from Brant County, which focuses on the reduction of traffic-related harm through data-driven information from high-risk areas, public education, roadways designs with enforcement, and using those strategically and providing enforcement where necessary. So with that, the OPP hosted and led an initial stakeholder meeting to understand the program's requirements, clarifying roles, alignment of the expectations based on these sessions learned from Brant County, their planning and what they've set in place. The planning and meeting is brought to the community members together as the program continues to move forward, and we launch this program. So in parallel with the Kawartha Lakes Traffic Management Department, and advancing critical municipal components, including deployment of public-facing traffic concerns, reporting, which is a reporting platform, acquiring a Black Cat, which is a device that collects data from the roadway from speeders, and to launch that moving forward. While the OPP does not oversee the municipal traffic operations, our role has been to lead the coordination and collaboration with the traffic unit, with the municipality, to assist with the reporting platform that they can use to ensure the community can provide their concerns to the traffic management, and then they can relay that information to us to assist with enforcement in those troubled areas. So the idea with that is through the traffic management, through the municipality, they can take reports from concerns of either high traffic areas or problem areas within the municipality, collect their own data through their Black Cats, and okay, this is where our concerns are, and then they can coordinate with us, and we can take the appropriate enforcement actions on it. So it's a good tool. It kind of eliminates 100 people calling in with one concern, where it can be all formulated into one person. We can set a plan, we can set up devices, and we can actually focus on the major concerns, and then that gives actually hard data back to the community members, being like, no, this is what we've done, this is the results, so there's no conflicting information being like, they're not speeding or they are speeding, and then we can work together to kind of reduce traffic complaints and other further complaints as well. So our next meeting for this would be March 18th, and then we're going to continue to develop the program through this Safe Streets project.
Thank you for that update, and I think it's a program, like you said, that needs some work, but it all, being a counselor, we often hear about issues in certain locations, but if you've got a community that's experiencing these, all of these issues together, it may be, like you said, it's more of a proactive enforcement for your team to be out there and actually create that traffic calming that's needed in that specific location. Is there any questions at this time on this update? Okay, I don't see any. Can I have a first and a second for the update on the Safe Streets program? Councillor Warren, Member Johnson, all in favor? That passes. Thank you very much. Moving into 4.6, safety concerns on Highway 35. Well, that would be me. I put this on the agenda because we have heard collectively from many different areas in the city of Kawartha Lakes on Highway 35 of increased traffic collisions, safety concerns. I think this winter has maybe exacerbated quite a few different areas where we've lost hedgerows on the major highway. And we've had a lot of east-west winds this year, and a lot of collisions have happened where we've had drifting. I know that I've reached out to the MTO, and the MTO actually came out and has done a site meeting 2 weeks ago, because they're hearing it on a regular basis that there is issues. But one of the main concerns that we do hear is illegal passing, or passing in unsafe areas. I was just, I felt, it is definitely an enforcement issue, but I think it needs to be fleshed out that we're aware of it as the O.P.P Detachment Board, that this concern has come to our attention, and that we are doing our due diligence by reaching out to the MTO and having those communications. And I wondered if you wanted to maybe add anything to that, Detachment Commander, at this time.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. I echo and voice the concerns raised by the chair on Highway 35. You know, we have seen significant weather events this past winter. With that, we've had a significant influx of snow over past years. Now, granted, I'm talking about a snapshot in time when we're dealing with traffic safety. One of the challenges we have certainly this time of year is the blowing snow, the volume of blowing snow, the drifting snow, the lack of visibility. As we have seen over time, the continual expansion of farmlands, the reduction of, as you mentioned, the hedgerows, the tree lines, that typically had an influence on drastically reducing blowing snow and visibility, et cetera. That's more of an environmental design that will have to be tackled through the municipality and the MTO. Certainly from an enforcement perspective, however, we recognize the same. We led off with the Detachment Board report. 2 of the fatal motor vehicle collisions involved head-ons. And now in one case, the driver lost control in terrible driving conditions. I don't have the information on the other head-on, but quite often what we're seeing, and the staff sergeant and I had a conversation about this as we were driving over there, is the impatience of our driving public. When we get a slow-moving vehicle ahead of us, a great example, yesterday when I left the office on Highway 7, I was behind a vehicle doing 35 kilometers an hour. And I was the second vehicle behind that, and behind me I could see all the traffic weaving out, trying to see if they can get around. We're aware of that from our perspective. I'll be honest, it is challenging. You have to be at the right place at the right time. However, one of the things that I'm messaging to my members is that visibility plays a significant role in traffic calming. And just seeing a cruiser at the side of the road, the member could be doing notes, could be doing follow-up, could be on a telephone call, or they could be engaged in active enforcement. Just that member being visible to the public has a significant traffic calming influence. I laughed, I think I mentioned this at the previous detachment. Remember when Waze came out, through the program Waze? We were concerned, a lot of our members were concerned, because you can actually identify a police officer on the highway where they're located. From our perspective, we have significant officer safety concerns. I flipped the script a little bit. So now at this time I was in Peterborough County as a supervisor. I went up to the north end of the 115 by our detachment at one of the turnarounds. The millisecond I was on Waze as a police officer, I immediately left that location, went to the next turnaround south. I had police officers identified all the way down the 115 on Waze down to Whippy's area. And miraculously, this was on Friday of a long weekend, the traffic was moving slowly, everybody was calm. It had that influence because everybody was turning to Waze. And its visibility and traffic enforcement are going to be under the traffic, the third pillar, or the second pillar, on what we're going to be expecting our members to be doing. So we have an influx of brand new supervisors in the detachment. I would like them seeing exactly what I did when I was a supervisor. I'd go to one of our turnarounds or park a cruiser. All of our cruisers have mobile workstations. They have computers in them. I would like to see some of our members, to the best of their ability, going out into our public and being just simply visible while they're doing reports as well. Now, Highway 35, obviously being a major highway, is a significant concern. In the past, we've had ATVs, we've had dirt bikes up that highway along that one stretch. One of the things that the tenets of that Safe Streets program that Staff Sergeant Gordon here mentioned is the collaborative approach to streamlining, generally speaking, the 2 complaint streams into the municipality and the O.P.P. We get our calls for service coming in through our dispatch on various complaints across the area. The municipality has your complaint processes as well. The Safe Street program, one of the tenets of that is to bring those 2 entities together to have a working group that will bring that information together and then effectively work on the various areas, whether it's through anecdotal traffic complaints or analytics to identify hotspots. Highway 35 would be a great example of where that team could come together to work collaboratively with the O.P.P. from our perspective and the municipality's perspective as well, to tackle that issue. We support the efforts of the municipality and in anything that they need from us as well. We have a regional operational analyst. I've mentioned this before. Any of the statistical information that we can provide to the municipality for Highway 35 or other areas, I can reach out to obtain that information as well. Interestingly enough, certainly through the Safe Streets program, a perfect example of how this can be a benefit to our communities. Councillor Ashmore brought forward a complaint or a concern in the village of O.P.P. To us. It came through myself, which I shared through to the chair. That complaint in of itself would have been perfect to move over towards the Safe Street program for them to have a look at that, to bring us together. In this case, it was excessive engine noise coming through the village of O.P.P. Jake brakes is what they're called. So I support the efforts of the municipality, happy to support anything from a statistical perspective, an enforcement perspective, or otherwise.
Thank you very much. Can I just get a first and a second to receive that update on Highway 35? Councillor Warren, Member Vale, all in favor? That passes. Thank you. We do have that additional other business, the 5.1 added. It was the Inspector General of Policing Memorandum. Does everybody have a copy of that in front of you? And I'll maybe pass it over to you to have a quick conversation regarding it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to comment on the Inspectorate of Policing's memorandum. Has everybody had an opportunity to read through it? I think everybody's familiar with the investigation that was announced in York through York Regional Police on the 5th of February. I want to speak briefly about that and the O.P.P's commitment to ensuring that we are participating in that review by the Inspectorate of Police. And the O.P.P recognizes the importance of maintaining public trust, transparency and accountability in all aspects of policing. The 5 areas identified in that letter for review are critical components of professional police service delivery, and I would like to offer a brief overview to the Detachment Board of the O.P.P's current practices in each of those 5 domains. Number 1 is the supervision and span of control. The O.P.P has recently completed a comprehensive service delivery model review, which included a detailed assessment of supervisory ratios and our organizational structure. This review ensures our supervisory practices support effective leadership, oversight, and operational accountability across all work units. We continue to monitor and adjust our supervisory span of control to meet the evolving community and operational needs. And the service delivery model is, as I mentioned earlier, is being rolled out over the next number of years, and we'll have full implementation by 2029. Secondly, the screening and vetting of applicants, the second point of the Inspectorate's letter. The O.P.P maintains one of the most rigorous and thorough applicant screening processes in the policing sector. Our vetting standards apply both at initial recruitment and throughout an officer's career. Background checks, psychological assessments, integrity evaluations, and periodic rescreening help ensure that only those who meet our highest ethical and professional standards serve our communities. The third point, access to databases and information systems. The O.P.P has strict policies governing access to information systems and databases. These policies are supported by audit trails, defined permissions, mandatory training, and internal monitoring systems designed to prevent unauthorized and inappropriate access. Clear accountability structures are in place should any misuse of this information occur. 4, the evidence and property management are in O.P.P detachments. We have a well-defined, stringent policy regarding evidence and property handling. In addition, our quality assurance unit, based at the general headquarters, conducts regular audits of our evidence vaults, our processes, and documentation to ensure full compliance with provincial standards and legislative requirements. This continual oversight helps maintain the integrity of our investigations and justice processes. And lastly, substance abuse and fitness for duty. The O.P.P means a fit for duty directive that every member must review and sign annually, myself included, up to and including the commissioner. This directive outlines expectations related to substance abuse, impairment, and operational readiness. Alongside this, our Healthy Workplace team provides a robust wellness program that supports our members' physical, psychological, and emotional well-being. These measures help ensure our officers are able to perform their duties safely and effectively. I just want to ensure the O.P.P welcomes the inspectorate's review and views this as an important opportunity to reinforce public confidence in policing across Ontario. We remain committed to continuous improvement and will fully cooperate with the province-wide inspection process that's going to be occurring. I do not have timelines on when this is going to be occurring, and I'm certainly happy to report back to the Detachment Board at the appropriate time any internal and external messaging through the O.P.P and then obviously through the Inspector of Policing as well. But please rest assured, when this information came out, it does send a ripple effect through not only our communities that we serve, but also through the policing community as well. We, certainly within the O.P.P, as well as through all of our police services in the province, including Kawartha Lake Police Service, strive to provide the utmost best policing services to our communities. Unfortunately, as is evident in York Regional Police, through their investigation, they've identified some concerns. But please rest assured that we are committed to ensuring effective and safe policing to our communities that we serve. Is there any questions in relation to that?
I don't see any questions at this time. Thank you very much for that. I mean, it was nice to have your perspective and to hear, from you regarding this memorandum as well. So we do appreciate that update. Okay, can I have a first and a second? Member Johnson, Member Vale, all in favor? That's received. And the final, is there any other business at this time from anyone? Nope. I don't see any. I think today was a super amazing meeting. We certainly covered a lot and got a lot of information, so thank you for that. All I need now is a move for adjournment. Councillor Warren, Member Johnson, all in favor? And we're out. Thank you very much.